do a dance, say a poem, and I'll share some of those this afternoon when I do a teach-in. I'll share some of that. But that's the grassroots voice. It became so powerful that it was heard all over the world. So that's the summary of I No More. But I thank you for being here this morning to hear the voice of the grassroots from my territory. Thank you.
As for some of you geography and trivia buffs, one of the biggest rivers that comes through the state of Washington, the Columbia River, that is the home to the salmon, the various species of salmon. That river comes from Canada. And just like the stories that say that what happens to one part of the web affects all of us, sometimes people go, well, what is this gal doing talking to us from Canada? What does that have to do with us down here? Well, the reality is, it's just like the canoe journeys. We're all on the same water, right? And you have these politicians that they all talk about this economic development and this and that, and they have this little saying saying, oh, well, the tide lifts all ships. Really, Bob? Some of us aren't even in the canoe. And there's a saying in Washington, D.C. that says that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Yeah. If you're not at the table, if you're not an active stakeholder at the table, you're on the agenda. And like what Sylvia was talking about, without us paying attention and with us just being focused on other things, our rights, our laws get eroded. And the land, the water, the air gets compromised. And just like when she was saying that it was happening on her reserve, it was happening to all the reserves, for all the land. Whereas before, I think it was 3,000 waterways were protected. It knocked it down to about 16. Am I right, Sylvia? 16 rivers got protected?
16 rivers and 92 rivers.
Right. So it took a big list. It's like delisting all the endangered species, all the endangered rivers and the endangered waterways. And it affects us because the Columbia comes down here, and the waters that go into the Salish Sea that come down here, the tide brings it in and out, and that's why it's a local issue. So we want to thank you again. I really want to thank you for helping us understand those issues that we can't afford. We don't have the luxury. Just the way our chiefs, our women and men who stood and protested when things were happening back in the 1600s and the 1700s and the 1800s and the 1900s. I marvel when I look at our treaties that included the language in there to hunt, fish, gather, and in the case of the macaw, to whale in the usual and accustomed places. The wisdom, the legacy that took to make sure that language was in our treaties. I hold my hands up to all of our ancestors that had that wisdom and that insight. So there's several people that have been identified that they were going to be speaking, and Sylvia is going to be having, along with some other people, she's going to be staffing a table that talks about grassroots action. And our other sister Maggie, she's going to be talking about Indian child welfare. So I'm going to be calling these groups up, and as Robert said, you're on deck. Has Deborah Parker or any of the representatives from Violence Against Women Act come in yet? Not yet. So, Chris Winters?
Chris Roberts.
Oh, Chris Roberts. If Chris Roberts would come on up and if you can give a couple of expressions for us. Chris Roberts. So the next speaker, so we're going to be calling the speakers up, and they're going to give us a commercial about what they're going to be speaking on in their groups, and then we're going to be breaking into the groups. So take it away, Ms. Roberts.
Thank you. Alito, and good morning. I am Chris Roberts. I am Choctaw, and I am on the Shoreline City Council, so I took the actions of getting involved to heart, and I ran for office 4 years ago and was elected. But I know there's I know there's lots of work still to do in Indian country. Today I'm here talking about need to vote. Last election, I served as the vote coordinator for the Washington State Democrats, and as part of that effort, at the end of the day, I looked at how well people in Indian country voted, and found that there was about an 8% difference between those precincts that lived that were part of Indian country on the reservation versus precincts across the state, so 8% less. So there's a lot of people up there who are still, a lot of our relatives, a lot of our families who are not registered to vote, not participating in this process. I know I'm speaking to the people who are participating, and I thank you for being here, but there's still a long way to go. On our table over there, I have a list of all the bills that are still currently alive in the Washington legislature. There are about 10 bills that we can take the flyer, pass it to your lawmakers. Many of these bills were introduced by Representative McCoy, but there are several others that were not he sponsored or he was a co-sponsor for. So just to pay attention to the actual legislation that's being passed that's being debated during this session. So
go ahead and name them off. So
oh, sure. They're on the back table of about 60 of these flyers. In numerical order, House Bill 1014 would establish a Native American Heritage Day as a legal holiday in Washington State. That bill actually has a hearing tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. in the Senate Government Operations Committee. House Bill 1083 would allow tribal court judges to solemnize marriages. 1105 would allow tribal governments to qualify for rebates for community solar projects. 1134 allows tribal governments to enter into a state tribal education compact. 1277 authorizes federally recognized tribes to acquire a conservation easement. House Bill 1290 was amended to require consideration of Indian reservations and the placement of ballot drop boxes, which would help make it easier for people on the reservation to vote. House Bill 1413, which is the Washington Voting Rights Act that was discussed before. 1495 would allow tribal members to hunt on lands closed by the Department of Natural Resources. 1496 requires the Attorney General to produce a training module on tribal hunting rights. 1513 allows the state park system to enter into agreements with the tribes to help maintain the cultural and history of those parks.
So Chris, if people want to go see their legislator, they can come to your table and you'll tell them where those legislators' rooms are, and even if the House rep isn't there, they can leave a message with their LA.
I can, yes. I haven't prepared for that, but I can.
I got my cell phone.
Yeah, we all have cell phones now, so we can all find out where the lawmaker is. But it's helpful if you do have a legislator, if you do have this list of bills, and say these are the bills we're concerned about today.
Especially if you come from a rural place that's represented by Republicans.
Exactly. This would be a formal legal holiday, so all the state offices would be closed, and it's instead of just sort of a day.
Black Friday.
It would be Black Friday. Okay, I will lead a section on voting rights, and if you have more questions, we'll talk then.
Awesome, thank you.
He wants to add that. You serve on the Washington State Cop? You already did? Okay.
Thank you, Chris. Our next speaker, for people who are vets, I'm
asking Kelly to come up from Council Fire to speak a little bit.
Where's Kelly?
It's Kevin. Yeah,
She can't even write anymore. Come on up, darling. Kevin.
Good morning. Hardly that they need it. Yeah, I invited George and the group out first. I've known George for about a decade or so, and the work they do is just amazing. They've been filling out claims this morning. People have come out and asked what they do, and they've already helped a service member since they've been here today. So the spirits are working. So the group I began a few years ago is called Council Fire, and FIRE stands for First Inhabitants' Rights and Equality. My other job is I'm an international rep with the machinists here in the IAM, and doors are open to us with legislators. Doors are open to us to be able to get messages out, and we have constituency groups for blacks, for women, for gays, for Latinos, for everybody out there except natives. So I was visited, and it was put on me to try and start with. As of now, we've been adopted through 5 separate states. Washington was the first. Oregon, Montana, Arizona, and Idaho have passed motions in support of Council Fire, and there's been efforts to try and get things, at least raise awareness and get people talking about issues of natives. Just a few months ago, it was passed through the Ontario Labor Federation, so now we're actually an international organization. And it is just the reception we've received, the blessings of being able to talk to people, to open up people's eyes. This country gets all upset about 8% unemployment. Anybody visited a reservation lately? Right. Yeah, 75%, 80%. Nobody talks about it. And we can fix that. We can do something about that. So I ask for your prayers, for your support. We have a mailing list that goes to people in all 50 states to at least spur discussion. In my job, I've had opportunities to speak with John Tester out of Montana. And we've opened up discussions about money for training programs for aerospace jobs. And instead of outsourcing jobs to other countries, we can outsource them here and fix that 75% and fix that 80%. And the reception was really good. It didn't hurt that we put the bill to put some people out there to help him get reelected, so we had his ear. And we're doing that in all over the nation, over both nations, actually. And just really pleased to have been accepted the way that we have. There's no hidden agenda. It's not an organizing tool. As a matter of fact, I've been contacted. People wanted to use Council Fire as an opening to go and organize people, and I've refused to let it happen. And I will continue to do that. That's not what it's about. So I just ask for your prayers and your support. If you would sign up, I pray that my ears will be open and my mouth won't run too fast. But just I ask for your prayers that we do the right things and your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next person I want to call up to give their commercial to let you know what they're going to be speaking on, what table they're going to be facilitating. And I use the word table very loosely because some of our groups, we're just going to be circling our chairs just to make wise use of the room. Where is she? Oh, she's in the corner probably getting an email. I just saw our next speaker who will just give a couple of words. Patricia Whitefoot came all the way from Yakima. Recently, yeah, give her a hand if you know who she is. Every time I look on Facebook, she's getting another award or being appointed to another committee by the President of the United States. Last year, she got appointed to the National Native American Education, and she'll correct all those acronyms and everything. But just recently, I believe she got a Heritage Award for her work. So to let you know just in 2-3 minutes what she's going to be speaking on and anything we need to know around education, I want to call up one of my teachers, one of my mentors and friend and auntie, Patricia Whitefoot. If you can come on up, please. Give her a nice hand. Did you drive over from Yakima this morning? She gets an award just for that. Bless your heart. Here's your table camp.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Couple words.
Okay. Shikmaitski, Nashwinik, Shashtwakwe, Ku, Pashtuwiki, Patricia Whitefoot. Good morning. I did travel over from White Swan this morning, over the mountains and over the hills and through the rivers. I came. And I'm pleased to be here with all of you. I'm going to be helping to facilitate the discussion around education in schools and from early childhood on up to lifelong learning. Now, having been an educator myself about 40 years, just coming over, I was on a conference call with our, making certain that we're working on tribal control of our education program. So that's what it's all about, is tribes taking over the education functions that occur in our public schools and that occur with VIA schools. It's really up to us to take that control over in our communities as parents, grandparents, and just our tribal community leaders that we have, our traditional leaders, in terms of taking back our own language, revitalizing the work around language revitalization, history and culture. It really is up to us to be able to do that. And so I'm so pleased to be working with a number of organizations. And as Maria said, I was also appointed by President Obama to the National Advisory Council on Indian Education, so I work. I also work with Secretary Duncan and with the Department of Education, and we're currently talking about the reauthorization of the No Child Left Behind legislation, the reauthorization of the Elementary Secondary Education Act. But we're also working on the Native Class Act, and the primary focus of that particular legislation with Congress is around Native language revitalization and culture. So I look forward to working with those that I know we want to be at every table. And we all try to do that sometimes in our lives, and every topic that we're going to be working on, I hope that we work toward folding them together in some fashion. So I look forward to working with y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Patsy. I'm going to correct myself. It's Patricia. You know, you have your family and your ceremony names and your other names you have for each other, and then you go, oh, we got our suits on. We're going to use your full name, give you the full respect. I think we washed dishes together too, eh? Yeah. You know you're doing good work when you wash dishes together, and I want to hold my hands up to the people who they're fixing the food for us over there. They're setting it up, and we're going to work through our little thing here, just so that you do get to eat. And my uncle says at a certain point you have to get out of the way of the people, because no matter how brilliant or how talented your words are and everything else, you never stand in the way of people and their food. So we're going to move through this as quickly as we can. I'm going to invite Shelley Means to come up to give a commercial and to speak how she's going to work with the group that's going to be talking about health and families. So is Shelley still in the room? Oh, there she is. Oh, two of you. Awesome.
Good morning. My name is Shelley Means. I was born in Seattle, but my folks are from. My mother is White Earth Ojibwe, and my father is Oglala Lakota. I work with a group called the Native American Women's Dialogue on Infant Mortality. We're not so much about babies dying as we are about babies surviving and our culture surviving.
That's right.
We've gathered now for about 12 years to look at what the public health experts have to tell us about why our babies die at a rate 3 times higher than the rest of the population. We also find ways through our allies to understand the system that is supposed to be serving, like through state money and through federal money, the system that's supposed to be serving our people, and trying to advocate for the changes that better serve the needs of our moms and our babies. I want to broaden the circle a little bit, because this is not my organization. This is a collective of Native women who I have the honor of co-coordinating their activities and communications. but we're very interested in sharing that story. But I want to share with you that the origins of this group, our founding mothers, include Senator Claudia Kaufman, who spent many hours in these halls in Olympia, Iris Friday, who's a Tlingit in Seattle who works for HUD, Laverne Wise, who's at Seattle Indian Health Board. There's a Emma Medicine White Crow, who chairs the Governor's Interagency Council on Health Disparities. So we're going to talk at our table. We're going to talk about the stories of the things we can do to make good change happen for our mothers and our babies. I've got a gift to thank all of the little ones that are here today. It's a beautiful book called Cradle Me. So I'm going to share those in just a second, but first I want to ask my co-coordinator to introduce herself and say a few words.
Tatsmewi. My name's Leah Henry Tanner. I'm a transplanted Nez Perce tribal member from Idaho, a descendant of the Joseph Band, but my ancestors didn't surrender at Bear Paw. They went on up into Canada. And so I take the teachings that I learned from my elders and remember my ancestors when I'm doing this work, because it's really important to remember the sacrifices that they made so that we could be here. I really feel it's important that we pay a lot of attention to the health of moms and babies and families, because strong families and strong communities protect tribal sovereignty, and that's something that we're all very interested in. Thank you.
I want to thank our speakers, because we were planning on having them come in, and some have been calling, what can I bring, what should I bring? So I really want to hold my hands up to you. The other ones I want to hold my hands up to you. So look around you. There's children in the room. Can you believe there's children in the room? And some of them are behaving better than I am. And all of them are. Another hat that I wear is doing the African Native Americans training. And Patricia is one of the writers of that curriculum. If you haven't heard it, go on the national website under SAMHSA, Substance Abuse Mental Health. And it's a curriculum that was written by and for Native Americans on how to work groups, how to do wellness. And we have a couple of newly minted trainers in the room, and some of you might be trainers yourself. But part of that curriculum and part of that work talks about that it's important that our children are in the room, because they help remind us and anchor us why we're doing this work. Yes or no? Yeah. Because the reality is it takes so long to create a law, and it takes so long to implement policies, that it's not for us. It's for them and for our grandchildren. So it's important that they're in the room, that they're part of that conversation. So if some young people wind up at your table, make some time for their voice to be heard at your table. Don't put words in their mouths. And we've seen that before, right? We start telling them what to do. But really listen to what they're going to be saying around Council Fire, what they're going to be saying around what they want in school, what they want around vets issues, or why it's important. And you go, well, what does a kid know about that? Well, as a child who grew up with a father who had PTSD, I knew very early on that Papa was sick. And that's what got me into this work. So if you ask a child, do you want your mama or your papa who is a vet to be healthy? They'll tell you yes. And they themselves will say, do you need your medicine? Do you need some water? Or do you need to take a nap? Do we need to rest now? So let's be cognizant of these young leaders in the room as we're doing our work. No. Put them down. Put them down before they go supersonic. We know that's. I don't know, how do the kids do that? They make that sound and just go, really high. I can't even make that. I would hurt myself. The next person I'm going to have come up and talk a little bit is Noelle Frame from Progressive Majority. Come up, Noelle. Help us out.
I don't think I'll need this either. Can you all hear me okay?
No, use mine.
Give
Just
us a
speak up.
little volume, please.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everyone.
Thank you for having me here today. It is an honor. I am here to talk to you all today about running for office. Yes. And I'll spoil the punchline. I want you to run for office. And I want to see more Native American people step up and run for office. And I want to talk to you about what we do to help with that. Yes, thank you. I want to see a lot more. So for those of you who are not familiar, my name is Noelle Frame. I am the Director of Progressive Majority Washington. I've been in this role for 3 years, and Progressive Majority is in its 9th year operating here in Washington State. Our mission is to recruit, train, and elect progressive candidates at the state and local level. We've worked with candidates for city council, school board, hospital board. We have a few of those. Fire commission, but also the state legislature and higher. And really, we're a unique program in that we're really a leadership development program. And we do our best work when we meet people and get them into our program well ahead of a run for office. We will help candidates when they're actually in cycle with our political action committee, but the best work is where we can sit down with you and help assess what leadership skills are you bringing to the table? What could you do now that will help make you a better candidate down the line? And we definitely come to it, with a progressive lens. But I will say a very important part of our mission is bringing people to our elected offices that are from communities that are very underrepresented in public life today. And that certainly includes the Native American community. We are so proud to have worked with several of the leaders, current and past, in elected office. John McCoy is someone we have supported and actually sat on our local board for years and continues to help with candidate recruitment. Claudia Kaufman, when she was in the state senate, and literally I was on the phone with Claudia this morning as she is in the running for the appointment to the Seattle Court Commission. Chairman Kelly, Bob Kelly, before he was the chairman of the Nooksack Tribe, we helped to elect to the Whatcom County Commission. And the list goes on. So what can we do for you? I am going to pass around, and I know you all are busy. I'll have a table and I'll be here, but there are a lot of tables. So if nothing else, take this piece of paper with some information. Can I start?
So bottom line, Noelle, if somebody has ever had the germ of an idea to want to serve in a higher capacity, they need to talk to you.
They absolutely should talk to me. There's some basic information on that flyer about how to start the process. You can simply call our office. The phone number is on there. You can also go to our national recruitment website, which is runforamerica.org. But something very important, we actually have 2 trainings coming up in just about 3 weeks. On March 23rd, we will be in Vancouver. On April 6th, we will be in Everett. This follows having already been in Renton, Spokane, and partnering with One America to be at a training in Yakima. I see Johnny. Johnny was at that training with me over in Yakima in January. So there's real opportunities to learn, and we encourage you to start early. So I would really encourage you to come talk with me. I will say for the trainings in Vancouver and Everett, you have to be a member of our program to participate. So the hint is get started now. And you can literally start that process today by talking to me. I will be here and we can sit down and have that initial interview and get you going on the process. Any questions about our program or running for office that would be beneficial to the whole group? Great. And I will tell you, Mr. Chris Roberts, sitting in his capacity for Shoreline City Council, Chris actually attended our training in Renton in January. And so if you have some specific questions, Chris might be able to speak to our training. And I myself ran for office this last year and can really give a first-hand perspective on the challenges of running for office, in addition to my staff role with Progressive Majority. So I look forward to talking with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
As you know, there's quite a few issues on the table. I was talking to Ms. Sylvia earlier. How many issues are there? How many different things? And I like to say that, like all the degrees in the circle, 360 degrees, there's that many different things that affect us on different levels. And even if you were just talking about children, you're talking about health, you're talking about nutrition, you're talking about safe access to water, safe access to school, financial care. So even just talking about kids, it was 5 things just right there very quickly off the top of my head. And there's more. And you're probably thinking, oh, there's also this. So of all the many issues, we only have a certain number of tables today. One of those tables is going to be staffed by Johnny Buck, who's going to be speaking on youth. I've known him from a couple of gatherings that we have, and I also know him to be a newly minted donor trainer, gathering a Native American facilitator trainer. So come on, Johnny, tell us what you're going to be doing.
Thank you. Just quick, good luck, me, and we, Sheriff Mustukin, Clark, Nami Naimuma. National next, love, watch by one of them connect. And we took the Hockey to me, Etlaiwa, Mariah, and me, Pusha, Sapalasa, and me, Allah, Dolores Amtach, and me, Tilla, George Brown, and me, Cutla, Betty Whitefoot. It's an honor to be here, and I'm glad that some of the leaders in the room have been so graciously to offer me some work to do here today. I actually drove over. I started at 3 this morning from a funeral on the Colville Reservation for one of our late, really activist leaders. Just paid my respects. But I wanted to come, and I became politically active just recently, and so I just wanted to ensure I maintain my activism. Mostly my work has been done on Capitol Hill, but I'm a co-founder of the Native Youth Leadership Alliance, and we support tribal college students. We support them with their educational journey, with their community work, and with developing their leadership skills. And recently, actually yesterday, we just accepted 12 applicants. We're a national organization, so we're fairly new. We just got our 501c3 last year, so we're an emerging leadership program. So look us up at nativeyouthleadership.org. Some other work I have is dealing with youth, is with the affiliated tribes Northwest Indians, co-chair with the youth committee, and working directly with my aunt, Patricia Whitefoot. And I think my work is best served continuing to work on some of the strategic planning we have for developing the relationship that ATNI has with our youth. And that includes all of our tribe's youth. So that's a lot of youth, especially if we look at it in terms of demographics. 60% of our populations are under the age of 18. So that's a huge number. Maybe we've had some roundtables with youth at Grand Ronde. We've had a roundtable at the last ATNI Winter Convention with tribal leaders and elders and youth there also. But I think we can really appreciate the feedback we get from our grassroots leadership also. So your perspectives are really needed. We want you to voice your concerns of what's going on with the youth in your community, and I can, I'll be taking notes, and I, take this back. We're planning an event this fall convention. It's going to be a three-day leadership for our youth. And, you know, it's open, but more importantly, is really developing that relationship ATNI has by reaching out to our communities also and filling some of them gaps of the supply and demand of resources and education. So I guess I'll hold a roundtable format to allow people to voice some of their ideas and concerns what's going on with their youth.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Another speaker who's going to be with us is Ms. Joey Gray, who will speak on the issues of tar sands. And she'll explain that a little bit more. Joey Gray, you can come on up, please.
Joey Gray, hi there. I'm going to interrupt for a second. Hey, we're getting, just before she speaks, and so I got Chris Winters, yeah? Did Chris, have you spoken yet? No, sir. Negative? Okay, so we got about, well, it says 15, mine says 10. About 10 minutes.
I talked to Tony, and he's going to give us the high sign. We have to wait until they're actually in recess.
So he's going to come down here?
No, I'm going to go up there, but not until about 5 after.
So anyway.
Thank you.
Oh, well, here's Representative John McCoy. He is time sensitive, John, Representative John McCoy. So a little louder, please. You can't hear you. A little louder. Good morning.
Morning.
Good to see you again.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you here, and you'll do a lot of good work today. We have passed a number of bills that affect Indian country. We got the Tribal Compact School bill is out of the House. It's over in the Senate. And I got word yesterday, not official word, but in the hallway I was informed it'll probably be heard on Wednesday next week in the Senate. And then the Native American Recognition Day will be heard tomorrow at 10 a.m. over in the Senate, so I'll go over there and speak to it then. So there are a number, one of them on our cultural resources, 1809. We're kind of struggling with that one right now, and so we're working with the speaker to see if we can't salvage this one and get it across. So, but we do have other alternatives that we may be able to employ without a bill, but we're trying to keep all our options open. So we'll be working hard on those. Right now I got to get this up to the speaker. So keep up the good work. Continue to work all the Senate and the House side on the issues, and let's get some of these things passed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. See you anytime. You join us up there at all? I'll try. Yeah, we'll see.
I want to say thank you to Ms. Joey Gray for being considerate of our representative, Mr. McCoy. Give him a hand again. Thank you.
So we are nearing, again, with all due respect, that we're nearing our opportunity to stretch our hearts and our lungs and our legs and our voices up there above us here for the noon hour. I mean, it's kind of a accordion, and so we have to be respectful to the people doing the work. And so when we go up, it'll probably be 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes before we're allowed to share any drum prayer songs like that. So, but about noon, though, we want to start heading up that way. We're working out of this room. You're safe. Your items are safe here, your instruments and things like that. And so be assured that your belongings are good. We'll go up there. We have an hour, and then till 1 o'clock, and we'll take care of some work and some songs, and then we'll come back here for some lunch. for a half an hour, and then after that, we'll get on, we'll keep on keeping on. So just want to share that with my future speakers.
Thank you very much for having me here. Also, if I need to use the microphone, just wave your hand. Use the microphone. Okay.
The Alberta tar sands, and that's tar sands, not Tarzan, are the largest industrial project in the world up in middle to northern Alberta. They are, there's a network of pipelines coming from there that go out to tankers already, and this is one of the major issues for the Harper government in Canada in following it up with the Idle No More movement. This has been developing for about 50 or 60 years, and the threat to our climate is exacerbated by these excavations, the clearing of the forest, and the strip mining of this asphalty goo, which needs to be processed with horrendous chemicals to even move through the pipelines that are less safe than even regular pipelines, which aren't safe either. And we here in the Salish Sea are threatened by a lesser known pipeline than the Keystone XL pipeline, which has been in the news. Who here has heard of the Keystone XL tar sands pipeline? Excellent. So there's another one already delivering tar sands products out through the Salish Sea. It's called the Kinder Morgan Trans Mountain Pipeline, coming from Edmonton down to Burnaby, British Columbia, which is right next to Vancouver, with tankers going out in increasing numbers, and they want to double or triple this pipeline. So in British Columbia, there's already been thousands of people rallying in Victoria, in all the electoral districts across British Columbia, and a massive movement against the expansion of this pipeline. The table or group today is going to be about things we can do here, from individual actions to collective actions in municipalities, tribes, and other jurisdictions, and things we can do on a global scale in solidarity with the climate movement, with the Occupy movement, with Idle No More, with Labor Network for Sustainability, and on, because this Kinder Morgan pipeline crosses the Canoe River, which is the northernmost tributary of the Columbia River. And I could keep talking, and I meant to introduce myself first. I'm sorry. I'm Joey Gray, and my grandmother was from the Okanagan above on the Canadian side, and was Métis, and this is the Métis sash that I'm wearing today. And I was born here in Olympia, and I live in Seattle now, and I'm a member of Tar Sands Action Seattle. So thank you very much, and I'd like to hear more about what you think we can do to stop these tar sands pipelines. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gee, it's all connected. That pipe goes across the Columbia. They dump it into the Salish Sea. It affects all of our salmon when they're going in and when they're coming out and swimming around, right? And even the little fishes and the microbes that they eat to provide their nutrition so that they grow. I mean, it's all connected, yes or no? Yes. I mean, it's bad enough that, they kept telling us, and the elders kept saying, watch out for that Hanford out there with all that nuclear stuff. It's causing a problem. They talked about it for 50 years, and everybody goes, oh, you guys don't know. You're not educated. It's nuclear and blah, 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 and it's contained. And then what did we find out this last month? That our elders, once again, are correct. Somebody wasn't making sure that it was a good container. They found out there's a hole in the bucket. Dear Liza, there's a hole in the bucket. And now we're all having to deal with that. And then we find out that there's oil coming out of that dam over here, right? On the Columbia River. They've known about it for a month. Leaking oil, they go, oh, I don't know where it's coming from. Dude, check your machinery, please. I got a leak in my house, I'm all over it. Water's leaking or whatever, shampoo on the floor, you're right on it. And there's a dam leaking oil right on the Columbia River. I don't know about you, but once you get oil on your body, it's kind of hard, and the salmons are like, what happened here today? And we have to speak up for them. So what happens in one part of the river affects all the parts of the river. I don't know who decided to put oily pipes over and under and around the rivers. I just, as a Pueblo, I don't understand that. As a Pueblo, we know about dirt, but we also know about water and how important it is. Our next speaker is Mr. Chris Winters. If you could come on up, bless your heart, being patient.
And taller.
He knows how to wait. Bless your heart.
I will not stand in the way of anybody and a food line. Trust me. I'm a Muskogee Creek. Proud to say that I'm enrolled with my father. My mother is Cherokee. My name is Chris Winters. And I would like to raise my hands up to the Puyallup tribe who adopted me in 2010. So in our language, white from Puyallup or Mado from the Creek Nation, I'm an international representative for the Painters and Allied Trades, International Union for Painters Drywall. I founded our Tribal Affairs program. I didn't reinvent the wheel. I founded the program, and then I reached out and found out what everyone else was doing in labor to bring living wage careers to our tribal nations. And in a good way, I reached out and found out what everybody else was doing. And I want to raise my hands to my sister, Sherry Berry, who's also represented from the laborers from all nations. So not wanting to reinvent the wheel, found out what we could do more. Well, the Washington State Apprenticeship just restarted the Tribal Affairs Subcommittee for Apprenticeship. With myself, Cherry, my sister, and a lot of other Native American labor leaders, we are bringing apprenticeship training to tribal nations. And we're doing it in a good way, respecting sovereignty first. And I want to raise my hands again to the Puyallup tribe for just recently, on February 11th, enacting a tribal labor agreement that respects sovereignty, prevailing wages, apprenticeship on all their projects so that they can ensure that the training our young men and women, elder men and women that our First Nations peoples receive on the reservation is accepted by the industry on the outside of the reservation, so that when there is no work on our res, that they can take that training and not be given a barrier when they get on the outside and be told, well, I'm sorry, we don't understand that training. So we're going to have a table to talk about what we can do to bring more prosperity to our First Nations peoples in the industry that is this economic engine that we know. So my name is Chris Winters, and I'd be happy to help you. And it sounds like the lunch bell might be going off. I hope. Hey, we're about ready to head up that way, but I saw another good brother of mine who's been instrumental and supportive of myself, and he's right here, and he's right there. And so Representative Luis Moscoso, I love him dearly, really gets it, really shares it, and really advocates for people of color. And maybe I could just ask you to step up here and say a few words and introduce yourself to the relatives. So if you could put your hands together for my dear brother, who's really a good relative of mine, Luis Moscoso.
Thank you, Robert, and hello, everybody. I wasn't expecting to speak, but I guess I should expect that I should speak. I've got a lot of friends out there, so thank you for coming down today and for supporting the tribes and all the work that they do. Got to get back up on the floor because we are going to run some bills here pretty soon, but I did want to tell you that with the Voting Rights Act that we passed out of the House here last week, it is very important that it helps people to utilize their democratic voice. I mean, a lot of people feel that this is about race and ethnicity and giving us too many rights and power, but it's really about our democratic ideals. I don't care what color we are, where we come from, what we do. It's about being able to make our democracy work. So when people start talking about, that it's unfair for this reason or that reason. It's not. It's unfair when your voice and your vote don't count. And that's what this is really about. We've got to get it past the Senate. It'll be difficult over there because of what's going on there right now. But I think that we should be able to make the case for that and get it passed. Another very important bill we're going to be voting on later today is dealing with the DREAM Act. And a lot of people are misinterpreting that as we're giving money away to youth or kids that are not documented. And another case where this is not so much about the color of your skin, where you come from. These kids who need to have an opportunity to compete for the NEED grant, that the money that's out there is not guaranteed. We're not giving money to anybody, although I think we should. This bill just allows those kids to compete for the NEEDS grant. And there's not enough money in the NEEDS grant program anyway for when they should go to college, but at least it gets them there. And we just heard that when we vote on that this afternoon, that we do believe, it might be one of the last bills we do this afternoon, that we do have some Republican support. They have promised to help us here. Well, let's see if they can follow through on it, and I hope they do, because I think they're starting to get it, or at least they understand that the demographics in this state have changed, and that people of color, all of us, regardless of where we came from, and for me, people of color should include white people too, because some people say it's not a color, but like I say, you look at the rainbow, it includes all colors. So this is a chance for us to start working together, to remove the barriers and boundaries that have kept us separated, and work together to make our democracy work, make sure our kids get educated, and that we all go forward to the future together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Get back to work. All right, my dear relatives, the moment has arrived for us to go and express ourselves in the best way. There will be a lot of people out there. I believe my cool family is already up there. So bring your instruments, bring yourselves in a good way, and let's go pray about it, huh?
United States, but throughout Turtle Island, because she's aware of our international implications. So we lift up our hands to the work that Maria is doing on behalf of all of us. Thank you very much, Tommy, for bringing that information to us. Thank you very much. So without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to ask, so you can pull this out like that a little bit, to each team to come around, and we'll just go around the room. We'll just go around the room this way so people can have, I'll go first, and I'll just pick on you, and we're going to have, it was Sylvia that had this big group over here. So if you can, your group can come up, or whoever you designated as your speaker, come on up and represent. So earlier I started to say it before my sister called, exchange information with each other, become friends on Facebook if you need to, or if that works for you, some other social media, so that you can continue your work and to be connected with each other across borders, because in reality, there are no borders. These issues impact us because air doesn't respect the border, the animals don't recognize borders, and the reality is that we need to work across the table, across the room, around the circle. So if the first group could come up and give the report on their next steps. So introduce your group, yourself, and then tell us.
Good afternoon. My name is Renee Swanwright. I'm a citizen of the Lummi Nation, and I was with Sylvia and the I Don't Know More group. So we appreciated Sylvia and her words with us today. She told us that the I Don't Know More movement is really well, she told us a lot, but one of the things is really about creativity, that our people are very, very creative, and so that we need to let all of that creativity out, whether it's through songs, drumming, hymns, whatever it takes, artwork. Every movement that's existed really, whether it's the civil rights movement or it's anti-apartheid in South Africa, all of that music and art is really carries the people through and becomes a huge signature piece of a movement. It's interesting because what's happening is that now this is an Idle No More is a nonviolent movement, but now it's become a point where more action might need to be taken. As the Canadian government and the Harper government actually move forward and do illegal things like the tar sands and increasing the tar sands, we might have to stand in front of big machines and do roadblocks, and that's kind of scary, especially when we have children. But the key is to always protect our children and to protect our elders, because they're also going to be there and part of whatever action we're taking. And so it's being able to move past the fear, because what the reality is that it's Mother Earth. Mother Earth is the one that's in danger, and we have to put the fear aside and be doing what's necessary to protect her. Sylvia also talked about the need that this needs to be a spiritual event. Everything we do has to be done in prayer and with the Spirit. And so we need to be spiritual, we need to pray, we need to do everything with love, always with love, and to be inclusive.
Yeah.
So we can't say no to anybody. This is not just us. We're all part of Mother Earth. And so whatever affects Native people, Indigenous people, affects all of us. Sylvia just went to the United Nations, and what she learned there was that Indigenous people are the last stand towards big corporations coming in and taking all of the resources in the earth. We're the last stand. That means it's our sovereignty. So we have to really stand up with our sovereignty and protect it and utilize it, because that's the only thing that's going to stop the big corporations. Sylvia and I just had a private conversation about the need to do more training. And if we study the nonviolent movements, whether it's once again in South Africa, there's a movement in Kenya where women started planting trees because the water was disappearing and the children were starving, and so it can't be done. Winona LaDuke was here last week, and she told us about how sometimes it takes 28 years. Sometimes it's taking a stand and doing it for 28 years. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years. A tribe that Winona talked about was there for 28 years trying to stop a gold mine, I think it was a gold mine, and from digging on their land. And then finally, 28 years, and the company pulled out. So anyway, here's my friend, Sweetwater.
Ganafchish dikiam kawu, ganafchish ashagenya, ganafchish ashuka yayagi, sinuksi nanak duasak, kiksari yari khatsati, sit kweri dachkang, ahlich yeh yari kla, nanyaye, stikin kwan. I thank the Creator, I thank the Great Spirit, I thank our ancestors for this day. My name is Sweetwater Nanak. I'm from the Ishbiwada Killer Whale Clan, the Tsimshian Nation. My father is from the Ravenfrog Clan. I'm a grandchild of the Glacier People Clan. And my great-grandmother was the precious grandchild of the Upper Living Clan from the Stikine River from Wrangell. And I just want to thank the people of this land that we can gather today and thank you that we can come together in a good way and share our stories, our concerns, and lift each other up to continue the work that is set before us. I just wanted to add, I thank my sister here for sharing with a lot of the teachings that our sister Sylvia has brought down and shared with us today. And what is it really about? It's our priority is the land, protecting the land and clean water for us and future generations. And also it was stressed because we know as Native people, we come against racism and ignorance. And she encouraged us to let it go and don't react to that ignorance. Let our prayers and our hearts lead us, for that is where our power is. As you know, as Native people and as our elders have taught us, our power is in our prayer, our power is in our songs, our stories. Some of the work that we're encouraged to do is about the sustainable resources and encouraging and pushing for the government in that direction. Talking to our leaders, our senators, our representatives to continue that on that path, because there's actually more